All right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Wake Up America. I am Nicole, your host. Today is December the 12th of 2018, and we are going to briefly just kind of peruse the Drudge Report and go through the comment section a wee bit. Mainly, let me get I was on a walk earlier, and it's a little chilly out. And I know for my subscribers, by the way, that I kind of stopped making videos for a while, and it's because I've just been really busy. I had to, I have like 9 cords of wood I've gathered. It's not even all stacked yet. I've been trying to insulate up in here and get the house sealed a bit for winter because we live in Big Bear. I'll make sure we're recording here. Oh, we are. Okay. Because I live in Big Bear, and it's, it just is what it is. Here, I'm going to be like Mr. Rogers and put my sweater on instead of my jacket. One moment. I can crop this little part of the video out here. I hate having my tattoos on there too much. That's why I kind of made a little sarcastic thing about it in a previous video. All right, so I'm pretty much ready for winter. My office, it's not 100% done, as you can see, but it's more done than it was, which is good. So for my subscribers, I wanted to say a special hello and happy Thanksgiving to Julian Peterson. Let's see, Soup GD Winnie. Oh, goodness. I'm having a whole bunch of names go through my mind, and I can't remember them all right now. Let's say hi to Jube8891. And let's see here. We're gonna go over this few comments that I have here from the MGTOW video. So let me just go ahead and turn myself around here. I even have a desk now, right here in my own office. And I even have a futon in here so I could sleep. It's really nice, sorry. All right. Now this guy right here, Lowless Better Than who? Oh, I'm not even going to go through his comment. It's pretty good. You could read it if you want. Hold on. I liked it. But it's pretty long and I don't have the time for it. Oopsie. There we go. All right. Goodness. Okay, so happy Thanksgiving, Tank Castle and Tungadorji. Let's see. I'm thinking there's some people I know by their actual, I remember their names more than their handles, and other people I remember their handle and not their name. And if your handle happens to be like your name, then I probably really don't remember it. All right, let's go to, okay. Celestial Dawn says, the men who are part of MGTOW would just rather focus on themselves. Secondly, okay, so let's just stop right there. The ones who are in MGTOW who are focusing on themselves, that's good. They should do that. I don't care about those ones. The only MGTOWs that I really, as a matter of fact, I just want to say this. If you're a MGTOW, I'm just going to, if you write something on my page and it says something about how women need to disappear, right? Let me explain something to you. Are you familiar with something called a yin-yang symbol? Anybody here? I'm sure everybody is, right? Let me get a pen. It looks something like this. Right? Okay, now as you know, part of it's white and part of it's black, and I don't have a marker here, but the point is that if you think that you're so fancy that you're going to remove from, this is like creation, by the way, you know that it is the Lord God who created light and fashioned darkness, because remember, the yin-yang is dark and light, right? Male, female. You fools who want to get rid of the women, I hate to tell you this, but you think you're going to take a scale and that you're going to balance it with just one side. That doesn't happen. You have to have the other side. You can't have a yin-yang. A little still center right here where God speaks from. Light and darkness. Can't do it without the woman. In fact, I think God's using this MGTOW movement to identify a difference. Okay, there's a difference. Men who go MGTOW, like Soup GD Winnie, because they've been traumatized, because of the laws, because of the custody laws in this country, and the child's freaking court system is insane, right? So if you're MGTOW because of that, I agree. And you should. Not to hate women, because a lot of you are raising women. So maybe you need to not be with a female if your life's going to get all jacked up by the court system while you finish raising your kids. That's the same advice I'd give to a woman. Finish raising your kids, focus on yourself, whatever. If somebody happens to come along, great. But for those of you who've already been screwed and you're afraid of the court system, I don't blame you, okay? That's fine. But for the ones who want to extinguish, see, Soup GD Winnie is raising daughters, as far as I understood. He's not a MGTOW because he hates women. He loves women. And being married for people like that and having everything work out great would be some kind of fantasy, is what I've been told. They would love that to happen. It's just not reality right now. For those men, you need to do what you need to do. For the ones who write on my page to tell me you want to wipe out humanity, I hate to tell you this, but God's using that movement to identify you. He's going to get rid of you, buddy. Let me explain it to you real good. I get a little angry when I talk about MGTOWs because online, about 90% of them are completely indecipherable from an extremist Muslim. All right, so it's kind of like this. Here's our planet. Our North Pole has an uneven magnetic north. I'm pretty sure you guys know that, right? And it's not perfectly spherical. It's kind of bobbling around. Now, the theory is that actually there was a time dimensional, in order to create time, actually something happened with our planet that destabilized our magnetic north. And that's why it's not solid up there. That's why you see it moves around. That's why if you look, the Hudson Bay used to be where it was. That's why the navel of the earth, like Delphi and Jerusalem, moves around the earth, right? It's going to settle back in at Jerusalem, and that's why everybody's trying to get that property, right? It's only going to go to the Jews. Jews mean that you legit believe in the one God. And that's a whole other story, actually. It's very, very interesting. We could get into that later. But there's a lot of people who think they're Jews who are genetically aren't, who never got converted. Their parents were trying to hide from the Soviets or get out of Russia, and they said what they needed to say. Okay, fine. There's a lot of people who do not know that they're Jewish who are. In fact, I would say even maybe 40% of all people who have a Spanish female in their line are probably Jewish. Just saying. That's what some of the stats say. Okay, so here's the thing. If you guys really want to get into some esoteric stuff, okay? Basically, the American Indians believe this. You know, there's people who believe they're starseed. They come from different planets. Venus, Mars. Is there life on Mars? David Bowie, the red hair. What is he trying to tell us? Okay, you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm going to tell you something. There is. And that's why the ancient mythology from all, whether you want to take it to kind of like a stardust, you know, sort of pollinating the earth kind of thing, or however you want to see it, each one of these planets in another dimension is inhabited. And if you notice, all of their mythology says that they came down here to Earth, right, after humans were created, and that they came here, like the American Indians. They came from a planet, they came down here. That's what their ancients, their elders say. Here's the interesting thing about that. When Adam and Eve split up, see, all of Eve's children are still considered human and belong here on Earth. Some people actually don't. You can recognize them because they're sociopaths usually. They don't have normal feelings. This is not always the case, though. Sometimes. All right? But what happens is Adam, after Eve and Adam broke up, for like 100 years, it was something like 100 years, there was a long time that Adam and Eve were broken up. The point is that it's recorded that Adam actually hooked up with some fallen angels that came from some of these other planets. That's basically the gist of it. The children that Adam had with them, although they may be loved by God and everything else, they're not the actual natives here. Okay, so what that means is that when God resettles the earth, he does things a little different than us. He might give the Aborigines priority in Australia, whereas we, because we do everything backwards here, do the opposite, right? So God's going to give all the humans that are descended from Eve and the Jews priority. I know that's very mystical for some of you here, but it's also has to do with this, guys. I'm going to flip the camera around for a minute and kind of show you something that I've been working on. Now this video is going to go a little esoteric because I have those kind of like, people call them sleep paralysis, but they're not bad dreams. And I get vivid like pictures. And I had these little Hebrew letters come and dance for me and wake me up from my sleep a few months ago. And I've been learning them ever since. Now this is an Aleph, a Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey. I wrote these myself, so they're not perfect, but I markered them. Vav, Zayin, Het. Now, Aleph, 1, Bet, 2. Just so you know, we'll go through what these mean at some other time if you'd like. 2 is the number that the actual Hebrew Bible starts with, is the Bet, not the Aleph. All the Septuagets or whatever, the Greek versions, that they start with an Aleph, and it means they're invalid. Because when God was alone, what did he do? He made creation. Now, this up here is the symbol of the woman. She's on top, the man's on the bottom. It's like in Egypt. The goddess goes up here, the God is on the earth. In between is their love. Okay? Imagine that as popping out as their child, who has a 3-sided number, which goes with the number 3. Gimel, that's like Yaakov. Dalet, that's like Leah, his wife. Now, imagine this little Dalet here, or this little Gimel, comes over here and it goes right here. Do you see how that shape looks just like the next shape? Well, that's not an accident. This is a number 5 and it's a Hey, okay? It's associated with fertility. Why? Because you put the man and the woman together, you got fertility. Does this look familiar like this maybe to you? That's not a coincidence either. Let's come over here. This is a Vav. This is a number 6. Now, if you guys have heard of the 666 or, oh gosh, a lot of religious people get concerned about that. Well, here's your 6. It stands for a man. We are right now finishing up our 6,000th year of this particular cycle we're in. We're going into number 7. Do you know what number 7 is? See how it looks just like a man? It has this little fancy thing on its head. It's called a Zion, and it's a woman. So for all of you, now this does not mean that women are going to... The corruption of this idea is what's happening on Earth right now, where women are trying to dominate men, and a lot of the, not all the women obviously, but here in the Western states, we have this feminist movement with these crazy witches who go around just hating on men. That is the corrupted upside down version of what's going to happen. You guys familiar with guys like David Bowie or Prince and how they had a feminine nature, or maybe Da Vinci or any of these greats, okay? That's what we're talking about. It's more than that, and women will be a huge part of it too, so don't get me wrong. But I want you to see this last shape here. This next one is a Het. It's a number 8. If you were to take this and stack them on top, because you got this reoccurring shape, even the last one looks the same. It's a portal. It's also a symbol you'll find on the belts of Göbekli Tepe. It looks like a big capital H. It is a door on the top and a door on the bottom. The top pertains to, imagine a big H right here. The top portion of it is like the heavens. The bottom portion pertains to the earth. And you'll see this symbol, like the H, at the entrance of Solomon's Temple, the temples in Egypt, the Dogon temples throughout the whole world. You'll also see the H symbol all throughout Tiwanaku. It is basically what the sleeve stacks were after in Land of the Lost or something like that, okay? Also, if you notice, the bottom part of it looks like this, like a man's penis. The top part goes this way, like a woman's uterus. Once again, back to over here, woman on top, man on bottom. Yin yang, it's upside down. The woman goes on top in the new one. And it's not because the men are removed, it's like the yin yang. It's like a circle, it turns around. And right now, it's like, think of Davy Jones and the pirate ship when it had to flip upside down in the water. Well, we're in the opposite world, where up is down and black is white and good is bad and rotten is sweet. Okay? So, let that be a warning to my MGTOW friends. You guys are you're just gonna be removed, and I'm gonna explain it to you. Not the ones like Soup, but the ones who are crazy and want to extinguish women, including, by the way, the Christians who hate women and people who teach those doctrines. Because God put a chunk of himself and made woman, just like he took a chunk of Adam and made Eve. And if you think God's going to choose you over a part of himself, you are highly deceived. Highly deceived. This whole thing's a gig, man. It's a projection of God's mind. He can make matter out of himself. He can run probabilities. He can see the future, the past. He is the future and the past. You choose which timeline you want to live in. But right now, what's happening in a spiritual sense is that the earth is already being redeemed. And as it's becoming whole and sort of moving out of time the way we perceive it, it's just been going on for thousands of years that it's becoming whole, but most of us aren't noticing it. In the meantime, the filth is coming off this way. And here's the redeemed world, and here's the filth. And in the middle is a valley. And that's where we are. It's called the Valley of Decision. Now, if your heart resonates with the wickedness and you go towards it, as these two separate into two separate universes and this timeline straightens out, all those parts of yourself that gravitate here and actively go here will actually be taken out of here, and they won't go this way. The parts of you that gravitate this way will. That's my understanding of it. All right. So moving along. Secondly, having a relationship with a woman, friendly or romantically, has become emotionally taxing for a variety of reasons. Okay, surprise, surprise. What's her name? Celestial Dawn. All relationships are emotionally taxing. Duh. Do you know I've had all the things MGTOW say about women? I work, I support myself. I'm not married, and I haven't been for a long time because I was in a cult where women were raped by their husbands and beat into submission. And it was taught by the pastors. My husband was one of them. So all the things that you MGTOWs say about women, I can say about you. And my experience has been that way. But I don't judge men for that. I love men. More as the years go by. Not less. It's a matter of heart. You fix your heart, or you let it rot, and off it goes. All right. Now over here, Mystic Strike says, why is finding value in themselves being a loser? Who said finding... Okay, I'll tell you what though. If you find value in yourself, you're just obsessed with your image. And if this is like something that you... I'm not saying don't have dignity. It's like Confucius said. He was like, pride and dignity are actually opposites. There's a nobility to dignity, but dignity is humble, right? Self-effacement, right? Okay, so let me clear it up. I said that a little bit wrong. There's dignity, which has nobility and humility. And then there's self-effacement that goes to the point of being like, where you don't even treat yourself like you have value, so nobody else does, right? The key is to be humble and dignified. So if you're all after seeking yourself, go ahead. As long as you're not hurting anybody, I don't care. You just won't grow any. You have to be interested in something else to learn anything. Even if you're just interested in quantum physics, you could be like Einstein and figure that out. I know, I feel a little grumpy about these MGTOW guys. All right, I'm done with MGTOW for today. We're going to do a little brief news thing since I haven't been watching the news and I haven't checked in with you guys. Go Drudge. It already says 2019. I haven't been on Drudge Report for a little minute here. Tribune publisher accused of saying Jewish cabal runs LA. All right. So let me explain that to you too. For every holy thing, there's an unholy thing that looks the same. Okay? If you could think of the angel Gabriel, he has an evil counterpart. Everything is like that. Just like there's love and there's lust. But it goes deeper. There are Jews that are God's holy people, and there are Jews that they may not even be Jews, but even if they are, they're just the evil ones. You can't have there's good Aborigines and evil Aborigines. The difference is that right now the Jews are in a lot of power. They're centralized in Jerusalem. They're very smart, and so you're going to have very smart evil people and very smart good people. And in fact, the good Jews are actually most likely to be threatened by the evil Jews, so to speak, like Hitler, who killed off a bunch of Jews, who he was Jewish. Surprise, surprise. Okay. Why? Because people like to take out the competition that's the most potent, and the evil Jews understand that the good Jews are actually the most likely solution to our problems here on Earth, that they're a big part of it. So, the dog killed a rabbit?
Stuffed rabbit.
Oh, a stuffed rabbit, that's all right. All right. U.S. downplays surge in ISIS activity. That's interesting, too, by the way, the story of ISIS and that whole thing. There is a right place for the Muslim religion and a wrong place for it. Once again, there's a good holy jihad, and there's a bad, that's an unholy jihad. And just keep in mind that whatever the masses are following is usually wrong. Okay, terror group promises holiday surprise. I guess we should all be careful in concerts. Ellen to end her show, who cares? Sewage from Mexico spill flows into California water. So that's not good. I didn't know that. This was published today. And bnd.com, sorry, I know it's a little awkward that I'm turned around here. Sewage from Mexico spill flows north into California waters. Ooh. Couple walk along the beaches, signs of contaminated water Wednesday. Imperial Beach, California. Ooh, more than 6 million gallons, a day of raw sewage have been spilling into Mexico's Tijuana River since Monday night. The waste is flowing north into Southern California waters. Oh no. You know, they have those the Trinity, Klamath, and the fork of 3 rivers that come together up in north. Where the salmon go, that's not good. That's not good. You know? I don't know. All right. I love you guys. I wanted to do a check-in that was just, current. If you have any questions, write them below this video, and I will actually get back on this channel